I'd like to give you a little background on the 2010 Monte Bello vintage. Here in California, we talk about the fact that it was a difficult vintage. In fact, the vintage itself, that is the harvesting and the quality of the grapes, there was no difficulty at all. It was the weather leading up to it in California that was quite unusual, quite amazing. We had the coldest summer of the last, well, my 42 years here at Ridge, and I'm sure it extended beyond that. So for once, although we are all thorough believers in global warming, we certainly did not see any sign of it in 2010. Now what happened was, why it was considered difficult was that everyone worried that if things did not warm up, especially we here at Monte Bello in this cool region, we're afraid that we wouldn't have much of a vintage. That is, the wine would not fully ripen, we might declassify the Monte Bello. Well, what happened was conditions were beautiful, it was just that it was so cool. In October, we got 2 weeks of just absolutely beautiful summer weather, and everything matured. We saw probably some of the healthiest, soundest, richest grapes, rich not in sugar, but in the fact that the phenolics were fully mature and the color was very deep. And so the vintage itself went beautifully. And for the 2010, we have what we think is an extremely good vintage, if not one of the finest. Now, what we don't know is, it's very interesting that analytically, the tannins in the 2010 are considerably above anything we have seen, well, I was going to say in the last 10 years, anything we have ever seen. That is, there are some numbers here that are just super, and not just of the tannin, but of the combination of the tannin and the anthocyanins, which give this richness to the body, or I should really call it this, it covers the tannins, it carries the tannins. And so we have this wine with this analytical level, which will be phenomenal for aging, and yet the wine itself has come together beautifully and is amazingly accessible. That is, many of the people who taste young Monte Bello at this early stage will say, my God, you know, I could have this tonight for dinner and it would be quite beautiful. And we say, no, 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 you have no idea. This is, yes, it is together, it is balanced, but with 10 years and more, it's going to show a level of complexity that you, for all its fruit, you're not yet seeing. So the 2010 for us is right up there with the 09, with the 05, and it yet has its own vintage characteristics, as I've described, and as it develops, those certainly will come through. We just finished the second assemblage a week ago, and we only brought one more parcel into the assemblage. This was the middle of the 10-acre parcel and was Cabernet Sauvignon, and it brought the final assemblage of the wine to 74% Cabernet Sauvignon, 20% Merlot, 4% Petit Verdot, and a little minor 2% Cabernet Franc. And so that is the finished wine. The alcohol is typical of Ridge. It's a good ripe vintage for us, and so it's at 13.5. And we think, again, that it is one of our fine vintages.